Good morning, all of you, and welcome back to Darpan. We are discussing something very interesting. It is called as the transformations mirror. Over past so many years of continuous engagement with entrepreneurs, with family businesses, I have found one starking correlation. The correlation is that on one side, founder, CEO, the promoter, the family promoter's family wants to do deep transformation to bring about growth. Fair enough, that's absolutely correct. But they don't understand usually there is a mirror operating in between. And that mirror actually changes the whole scenario. Today we'll discover and discuss about that mirror, what that mirror is, and how does that mirror have an impact, a direct impact on the way you operate as an organization, you operate as a family business, and how do you actually see the transformation and growth happening in your life and your organization's life. Now this conversation that we will have today will continue for one more Darpan session because I will explain the context today, a philosophy today of that mirror, and I will present the framework of how do you implement it correctly so that the mirror reflects the right thing and you are able to transform without much of a struggle. All right, so we start today's session with a conversation which is very interesting and will take your thought process to a new dimension. This is called as transformations mirror. हम एक तरफ से हम ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन एफर्ट्स लगाते हैं, हम एक तरफ से कुछ नई चीज़ें करने की कोशिश करते हैं, but at the same time a mirror is reflecting something else and we need to be aware about and completely clear about what that mirror is and what does it stand for. Okay, so I will start talking about talent strategy. You would have read the baseline today that it's basically talent strategy that we are conversing. Talent strategy decides whether transformation efforts that you're doing will build an organization or break it. It is that much important. So, all the major transformations that you see, large transformations that you see, anything that we initiate in transorganization with our seekers through our CEO office model or anywhere, we are very clear about one important part of the transformation, and that is talent. We never keep people away from the effort and we keep getting them in sync with it. There is a reason behind it. वर्ल्ड ओवर जितनी भी ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन हुई है ना, वर्ल्ड ओवर, यू गो एंड चेक इट, सी इट, फील इट everywhere. The major transformations, like for example, somebody is trying to acquire a company, somebody is doing a strategic pivot, कुछ कर रहे थे, suddenly कुछ और करना शुरू कर दिया. Restructuring, we bought a company or we restructured the company, हमने org structure को change कर दिया. These transformations are won or they are lost only on people long before they are won or lost on strategy. बहुत टाइम पहले, if you remember, that I said that culture is the vehicle of strategy. But who carries the culture? The person who is living that culture is the carrier of the culture. And therefore, organizations who are trying to do a strategic pivot must remember they will need to maintain or preserve the culture before they do a strategic shift. So why does this happen? Because the uncertainty that this transformation creates, the change creates, tend to drive away the very talent that change depends upon. Now, in the two series that we will do from this time to next time, we will argue that development and not financial incentives is what carries the workforce through, what carries the talent through, what it carries the talent through the uncertainty that you're going to create because you're doing a transformation effort. So आज हम एक थॉट को डिस्कस करते हैं. I call this thought as the continuity paradox. Why paradox? We'll explain that. Why it is required to understand it is because we need to maintain the continuity, and that is why it is called the continuity paradox. But paradox क्यों है उस पर हम थोड़ा सा delve भी करेंगे. Now, why people absorb radical change only when they see themselves growing along with it. This you have to remember in your head. Ki people will be part of your change process, will be part of your transformation process only and only when they see themselves growing. So, the paradox is at the heart of the transformation. On one side, we as founders and we as CEO, we as a leadership team are excited about the transformation that we're doing, are excited about the new direction that we are taking. But transformation rarely arrives in one shape. Sometimes it is an acquisition, sometimes it's um ownership shift, sometimes org structure shift, sometimes a product innovation, sometimes it's product removal from the system, sometimes it's a strategic pivot. We are trying to move from a process A to a process B. But every time we do this, it the human pattern beneath them is remarkably consistent. So when leaders launch a major change, when founders launch a major change, a family launches a major change, their attention naturally goes where? Their attention grows to the deal that is happening, the change that is happening, the new structure that is coming in, the new product that is going to be launched, the new strategy that is going to be coming on the whiteboard. While the people who are listening in the boardroom are disconnected from this. They're saying yes, but inside they're doubtful. 90% people say yes. And I'm talking about the leadership team who believed in you completely. So while everything is shifting and changing in the process, the people who must actually deliver the change are looking inwards and asking a quieter question. And what is the question? Where do I fit in what comes next? If I have not answered this question, they might feel disconnected and might feel that continuing in this scenario is risky. Now, this is a paradox. Why is it a paradox? Because the moment organization needs the people the most, the moment organization wants people to lean in the process, some of the top leaders, top people are tempted to lean out of the process. Now, what I'm saying is not a hypothetical state. I'm talking to you with a living research of 450 transformation efforts that we have been part of. Living research. I've not read a Harvard article for this, or I've not read an MIT article for this, or Stanford article for this, or an IIM article for this. This is lived by us. And I'm telling you right now, majority of the any transformation pivots can be an acquisition or can be a strategic pivot from a product A to product B has found that attrition can roughly double or sometimes it can wipe out the organization after the strategic pivot has happened, and you are left completely confused that why this is happening. I have faced this in our transformation also. All our intentions, all our clarities were correct, but We did not take this thing into account. And I'll tell you what, the employees who leave first are usually the ones who have the most choices, more options. Who has more options? The ones who are more talented. The very capability a transformation depends on begins to drain away precisely at the time when it is needed the most. Worse, anxiety is contagious and compounds over time. A single high performer leaving or single high performer's departure sends a signal to everyone who stays: if they left, I should be looking out too. And because large transformations often take many months and sometimes even years, the period of uncertainty is uncomfortably higher. It's not brief. And engagement starts dipping in, because for any new shift happening, any new change happening, you will see an anxiety going up and problems seeing being around, and therefore you will start falling, your heart will start dipping, you will see cash flow strain, sometimes you will see products falling here and there, you will see customers going sometimes. So many things will be happening this time, and this is that labor pain problem that you will have to face, and people are not willing to face usually if you have not done a proactive connection with them. In transformation, I call this hidden cost, the danger of sudden collapse. It's happening in mind only, it's not real. So that when this thought, when the anxiety is that suddenly everything is collapsing, everything is going, this is not right, the way you see it, the way you will perceive it. So it is the slow erosion that no one decided to allow, but it's happening. Now we call this hidden cost as uncertainty tax. It is not paid in legal fees or regulatory litigation budgets or regulatory fees or statutory money. This is paid in disengagement. This is paid in hesitation. This is paid in quiet quitting. This is paid by a slow exit of the institutional knowledge which is lying in the heads of these talented people. It rarely appears on the transformation scorecard, yet Yet, it can quietly determine whether the whole effort succeeds or fails. So, leaders, founders, top leadership, family businesses, families who track every financial milestone of a deal often will have no instrument at all pointed at the cost that is most likely to sink it. Nothing. What employees are rarely asking? What are they're really asking? What are the people, the top leadership, the second line are usually asking? They're asking specifically three questions to themselves. Number one, do I still have a place here? This is the question of belonging. Do I still have a place here? It's a question of security. Will there be a role for me on this new side of the business? Or will it be the one I recognize once I decide to? So there are multiple questions pounding in his head. I'm not able to identify with what the new thought process happening in the company. This is the question going in his head. Will my skill still matter? This is a question of relevance. The ground is shifting. Am I being equipped for where it is going? Or am I quietly becoming obsolete? Am I moving forward or being left behind? This is the question of momentum. Even if I keep my job and I still growing, and has my development been put on hold indefinitely while the organization sorts out itself completely? So there are identity related questions in the minds of people. The first question, which is do I still have a place here, is a job related question. The other two, will my skills still matter? Am I moving forward or left behind? These are about identity. These are about growth. The growth questions. So let me put this whole thing in front of you and in the form of a chart so you will understand what I'm talking about here. Okay, so the first thing is we're talking about transformation mirror. Now, bigger thought here is there is Kanti paradox. So when we need the people to lean in, they are so confused that they start leaning out. Okay. Now, this is the first important point that you should remember. And why they're leaning out? Because they're asking existential questions to themselves. So, questions that appear in their minds. Now, I'm going to repeat the questions for you. The first question is, do I still have a place here? It's a question of belonging and security. Do I still have a place here? This is a belongingness question. Second question is, where will my skills still matter? That's an identity question. It's a very difficult question to answer because this suddenly changes the whole scenario. It's a question of relevance. Will my skill still matter? Question of identity or relevance. Third question. Am I moving forward or being left behind? This is a question of momentum. It's a question that hits them because they feel, okay, organization is moving. It's going to take another 2 years or 1 year from the plan that is there. So whatever calendar I made for my training, my development, where is it going? Is it coming along or is it going somewhere else? So what happens is usually founders take care of their one or two lines because they can read their eyes that they're getting confused. So they have to take them along. But they forget to take the other company, the full company along. And they expect ये जो सेकंड लाइन है ये नीचे बात कर लेगी. Nobody talks. Nobody knows how to talk. They are themselves just clear. They are not themselves very clear. So how will they communicate to the people others who are reporting to them, for example? Now, am I moving forward or being left behind is a question of growth. It's a question of momentum. Now, if that question is not addressed or answered, you are actually telling them quit without telling them to quit. Okay. Am I moving forward? It's the question of moment or growth. Now, this is an important part to understand here, that if you are not going to address these three questions, do I still have a place here? Will my skills still matter? Am I moving forward or not? You are not actually answering why they should be along with you in this transformation journey. You're not answering the question. And look at any transformation effort where people are not being taken along, the fuel, the energy of the transformation always depletes miserably. In all our transformation efforts that we do across the organization, the first element that we take care of is people. Because founder, the CEO office, the CEO, they will be with you, but they cannot move forward if their team is not coming along with them. So this difficulty is not taking that one man forward. Difficulty is taking the whole organization along in that forward journey. Because the excitement that builds over there is what drives the leader forward. And now, if in the panic mode, and I've seen this happening, the instinctive response is what? So if you go to any HR consultant, they will say the instinctive response is let's start activating retention levers. What are retention levers? Stay bonuses. You stay, get a bonus. Spot incentives, financial sweeteners. Now, these retention levers work, they definitely work, but they can buy a few months of calmness. In some cases, they are even necessary to hold critical people through a specific transition, but they are expensive. Expensive is also not a big problem. They're hard to scale. And most importantly, they answer the wrong question. What is the question they're answering? A bonus tells somebody or someone that they are worth keeping. It does not tell them they have a future. It just tells them that you are worth keeping. In this journey, I really value you. I want you to be there. But it is not answering the question that do they really have a future? Financial levers have a very short radioactivity में बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग टर्म होता है हाफ लाइफ. क्योंकि जैसे ही दैट हाफ लाइफ इज ओवर their life goes to half. Period is of say 6 months, 2 months. उनका life of stay goes to half. So once the payment lands, for example, the underlying anxiety returns back. Money is that characteristic because money in the account is no value. Often that underlying anxiety is more sharper after the payment lands because now the person has cash in hand, and the moment that one has cash in hand, he has fewer reasons to stay. So what are you doing? Financial levers, the retention levers, usually the financial ones, money can rent loyalty for a quarter. It cannot manufacture a belief. And what is belief? If you remember the Soch that we did last time, Soch is the sense of staying is better than one's own growth. That sense that in this journey, whether my growth is happening financially or not, I am belonging to the whole process. This is part of me. Belief is that, Soch is that. And this is precisely what transformation needs. Transformation doesn't need another consultant coming here and doing some numbers and then showing you the numbers, how this is growing and that is growing. I think, excuse me, sit down calmly, sharply. Tell me, how do I get impacted with this whole process? And believe the sense of staying is better bet than one's growth. That happens only when you connect the spirit, connect the root. The deeper anxieties of transformation are not financial. Deeper anxieties of transformation are not financial. The deeper anxiety of a transformation is existential. And money cannot answer the existential question. Only growth can. Only development can. Only belongingness can. So, the short term remedy of financial connection is not a solution of a long term belongingness. Okay, so just to complete that whole thought here, I will try to put it on the whiteboard again. So, usual solution. Usual solution is put give the financial lever as a retention of talent. And then financial lever can only this only solves short term problem of stay and not the long term reason to belong. Why is it necessary? Because the problem is not financial, it is existential. Now, this is where the whole narrative changes. The whole narrative shifts. And many of you sitting here might have had faced this kind of a, if you're professionals, might have faced this thing with the leadership who are moving in one direction and suddenly shift the direction because he had a new vision now. Others who are moving behind are still looking there and you're moved here and they're feeling, my God, what is happening? I thought you're behind me. I thought you're in front of me and there is nobody there. And I planned my whole life based on that. I need you to answer this question for me, that how does my life change when you have changed? Are you still looking for a Same goal and new path, or it's a different goal which might not resonate with my goals. Now that connection is still not established, so belongingness doesn't come. So what is the central idea? The central idea is philosophically the real infrastructure of transformation, the real infrastructure of transformation, or I would say real psychological infrastructure of transformation is development. Is development. The real psychological infrastructure of transformation is development. The development of talent, whether it is emotional, whether it is intellectual, whether it is spiritual, that development, that evolution is the psychological infrastructure of transformation. It is the load bearing structure on which everything else rests. You remove this, you strip it out, you strip out the development thought from the transformation effort, the new strategy, the new structure is standing on nothing. You'll see it falling apart. So, development is the psychological infrastructure of transformation. Think of it the way an engineer thinks about scaffolding during a renovation. The building is being torn and rebuilt. That is disruptive and frightening to anyone inside it. The scaffolding does not stop the renovation, it makes the renovation survivable. Giving people a stable structure to stand on while everything around them is changing is the scaffolding of the transformation, and that's the psychological infrastructure. Development plays that role for the workforce. Development, continuous conversations, in transnational language, we call them Urja sessions that we conduct. They feel belonging to the whole process. It is not about what processes you have shifted. It is not about what systems you have brought in. It is not about financial restructuring. It is not that. The real mirror of transformation is happening inside the people and not in the strategies and the goal sheets. That is important, but that is not the real transformation happening. So there is a real, so intangibly real connection that you have to establish with the people while the transformation is happening so that they can take part in the whole growth story with you. Is the scaffolding of the transformation, is scaffolding of the evolution. Human beings can tolerate astonishing amount of external upheaval, new bosses, new systems, new owners, as long as one thing stays intact, and that is credible sense of their own forward motion. Please understand this part. Every employee, every human being in the organization can tolerate astonishing amount of external upheaval. They can tolerate new boss, they can tolerate new system, they can tolerate new owner, as long as one thing stays intact. If they have a credible sense of their own forward motion, they will be able to handle and tolerate everything else. When people can still see themselves learning, people can still see themselves advancing, they can still see themselves becoming more capable, transformation registers, not as a threat, but as an opportunity. When that sense of progress stalls, even the modest change registers as a threat and not as an opportunity. So the same reorganization can feel like a launch pad to one person and an eviction notice to another. And difference is rarely the reorganization, it is whether the each person can still see a path forward. Okay, so understand Let me put this line for you. Important line for you. Development is the psychological infrastructure of transformation. If you cannot see it this way, you will not be able to hold your people, who is the main reason why and how the transformation will sustain itself. So, the single thing that will keep your people with you is if they can see themselves growing despite of everything happening around. This is not psychological, or this is not, what do you say, this is not hypothetical. This is absolutely real. This is the only thing that's real. Okay, now coming back uh, and moving forward on this thought. So, what is the continuity paradox? I'll just rephrase everything for you. So, transformation. All of you are able to hear me, right? So, the transformation by definition is about discontinuity. Okay, because you are breaking things out. So, listen to this carefully. Transformation by definition is about discontinuity. So you're discontinuously doing something. You were doing something, you're breaking it down, doing something else. So it's by definition is about discontinuity. Yet it only works when leaders deliver an or family or the promoter or the founder delivers an unbroken thread of personal continuity underneath this discontinuity. It is not talking about the continuity of org chart, continuity of job titles. No, it's talking about continuity of growth and identity. People do not need everything to stay the same. They need to keep becoming something better. So, transformation by definition is about discontinuity, yet it only works when leaders, when founders can deliver an unbroken thread of personal continuity underneath this beautiful discontinuity. And we are not talking here about continuity of org charts or continuity of job titles. We're talking about the continuity of growth and continuity of identity. People don't need everything to stay the same. They just need to see they are becoming something better than yesterday. They are growing from what they were to what they are. Okay. So this is the continuity paradox. Why is the continuity paradox? Is because on one side everything is discontinuous, but that discontinuity will stay if there is something continuous. And it is the continuity of growth, continuity of becoming. So why growth is specifically the stabilizer? It's worth pausing on why. Why? Why development of all things does this work? So three specific reasons stand out. Three specific. Okay, before I move on to that, let me write down this definition of continuity paradox for you. So, transformation by definition is about discontinuity, but this will be successful only if there is underlying continuity of becoming growth of the talent. That's continuity paradox. Okay. So now why do we need this most? Why the growth specifically is the stabilizer? Three reasons. The first, growth restores the agency. Okay. Uncertainty is most corrosive when people feel they are being, things are being done to them. Learning a new skill, taking on a stretch assignment, earning a certification, each is something person actively does. A small reclaiming of control in a situation that otherwise feels controlled by others is extremely important. ये ऑलरेडी डिफिकल्ट है, सब कुछ ही इधर उधर हिल रहा है. आपने अगर इस प्रोसेस में उनके लिए कुछ लर्निंग के मैकेनिज्म्स बना दिए, समथिंग डिफरेंट फ्रॉम व्हाट दे वर डूइंग अर्लियर, they will feel there's an internal feeling that they are growing. Why? Everything is changing around. Some new people are entering the office, some new processes are being done. Somebody is asking me new questions. I don't know what is happening around. What is in for me? Is it doing something else? Are they trying to remove me? Those questions get resolved the moment you don't give them bonus, don't give them stay incentive. You sit with them and say, okay, now new things are happening. I think doing this one course is important for you. Doing this one stretch assignment will be important for you. They'll be happy to do it because it gives them an internal conviction and a ground to be with you. So it restores the agency. Agency means the person who is agent in the whole process of transformation. So growth, internal growth, will help him restores his agentship over there. Second, growth protects identity. So when people do not fear, so let me write it down for you so you don't forget it. So what are we discussing? We're discussing why growth. Number one, growth restores agency. Second, growth protects identity. Oh, sorry, I didn't share. So growth restores agency, growth protects the identity. These two things. Now, Third point, growth. So, okay, let me explain what does it mean by saying growth protects the identity. So, when people do not fear losing a job, they don't fear. They fear losing a version of themselves that the job made possible. All of us live with some versions of ourselves. That's our identity. That's our ahankar element of the antahkaran, which gives us that sense of identity, the sense that we have built ourselves as something. That quote unquote thing remains in your head. And there is a version of you that job made possible. Now, development or growth lets that self keep evolving rather than being frozen or erased. So, a person can imagine a continuous story that runs through the change rather than ending at it. So what happens is अगर आपने ये डेवलपमेंट एक्टिविटी नहीं किया तो आप एवोल्यूशन रोक दोगे. सो एवोल्यूशन रुक गई तो इरोजन शुरू हो जाएगा, या इरोजन नहीं होगा तो कम से कम फ्रीज तो आप हो ही जाओगे वहां पर. लेकिन द मोमेंट यू आर डूइंग डेवलपमेंट अलोंग विथ ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन, person imagines a continuous story that runs through the change rather than ending that story with the change. आपकी एक स्टोरी चल रही है आपकी लाइफ की, आपका एक वर्जन चल रहा है आपकी लाइफ का. नाउ सडनली आपने कुछ चेंज किया तो मेरा वो वर्जन ही रेलेवेंट हो गया मेरे लिए. The moment you also involve him in his development, not in the change process only, he feels while the change is happening and I am part of it, so agency, I am also being given new opportunities to grow, and that's the identity. So while agency is being maintained, a stretch assignment, a new certification, etc., to help us in change process, if you also do it for him only and nothing to be done for you, he feels his identity is a continuum along with the change. So growth on one side gives agency, growth on the other side protects the identity. Third, growth re-anchors people in the future. So anxiety lives in the imagined future. This will happen and then I will not be relevant. This will happen, so many people will come in. What will happen to me? What is happening to me? My family, I have a EMI to pay, I have a family to take care of, I have so much of expenses in my head. Protect yourself, protect yourself. That thought comes in. So anxiety lives in the imagined future where things go bad and all those imaginations are happening in your head. Now, concrete development, a course that finishes next month, a course, a skill that will be needed next year, it all replaces that vague fear or dread with a tangible forward horizon for the people. It is hard to feel left behind while you're visibly moving forward. So when you have to ensure people work with you, walk with you, run with you, or at least crawl with you, you have to re-anchor their imagination of the future. And growth does that. So, third reason why growth is important, it it restores agency, it protects identity, and growth re-anchors future. Okay. So the last part of the program session today. So, whatever I spoke to you right now, I didn't talk about retention of people. And I'm going to introduce one important word for you. You will have to shift the thought from retention to regeneration. So, in our talent factory model, I'm also replacing the word retention to regeneration. Why? Because if we take this seriously, the goal shifts. The old goal was retention, holding on to people, keeping the leak plugged. The better goal is the regeneration. What are you doing? You're continuously renewing what people can do. So workforce emerges from transformation more capable, more energized, and one that has entered the new transformed era is already a new person entering there. The difference is not just semantic, it changes what success looks like. Retention is a defensive and finite. You can keep what you already have. And a retained but a disengaged employee is more harmful than what he was earning. It's almost like a hollow win. Regeneration is generative. It builds new capability while the transformation is still underway. So the same disruption that threatens to subtract talent transforms that occasion into adding talent. They will refer, they say, this is the place to be in, continuously transforming, and I'm also growing. An organization that merely retains its people through the transformation survives the transformation for sure. But an organization that regenerates the people in the transformation, that organization is transformed by the transformation and people are regenerated with new capabilities. So the true metamorphosis take place. So when I used to say in various of my conversations earlier also that everything around you is your reflection, it is not just true for the leaders, it is also true for the people. And you cannot have a transformed organization with only old version of people who were retained by giving some financial external levers. And when the time comes to, actually, I won't call it transformation, I will call it change only. And the moment you leave the levers in their hands, the machinery levers in their hands, because they are still the old, they will pull it back to old or they will move out depending on how strength of the changes. So, an organization that regenerates its people is truly transformed and not changed. And you will see a mega shift in the way operations are being done, mega shift in the way people talk to each other. It's a sea of shift and change. In this series, I call it Darpan as a series, and Darpan becomes a very important word here again. During stable times, employee judges an organization by what it says. It's a mirror. It talks about some big foundations, some values, some core purpose, some vision, some mission in town halls, etc. But during transformation, they stop listening to the words. They start reading the behavior, they start reading the thoughts. During a transformation, the listening of words go away. They watch what the organization does when the future is uncertain and resources are tight, and they treat that behavior the way one treats a mirror, as a reflection of their own likely fate. So, three principles to carry forward. Now, therefore, the philosophy reduces three working beliefs that I will cover in the framework in the part 2 of the series next week. So I will put three principles in front of you. The first principle, it's a very basic principle. The unit of transformation is the individual. The unit of transformation is the individual. Should I call it? First, the unit of transformation is individual and not the org chart. First is unit of transformation is individual, not the org chart. What does that mean? Structures change on paper instantly. मैंने change कर दिया. People only move as fast as they can grow into the new roles. You can't announce reorganization on Monday and people start following it on Tuesday. It's not possible. It's about traveling with them in the new transformation role, transformed ability, transformed capability. All these are inside things. They're not outside on the paper things. Second, second principle of transformation, of philosophy, of belief, of working belief for the framework. Certainty is impossible. You can't give certainty to anybody. But credibility is possible. So what happens is leaders cannot honestly promise कि ऐसा ही होगा यही हो जाएगा पॉसिबल नहीं है faking certainty will destroy trust the moment it fails but what they can offer is consistency honest visible investment in helping people get there in uncertainty credibility is the currency that buys engagement and it is earned not announced so second principle of transformation certainty is impossible, credibility is not. So, in the periods of uncertainty, credibility is the only currency which is earned and not announced. Third principle talent is not a cost center, it is the medium through which transformation travels. Strategy can live on slides, it becomes real only when capable people carry it into daily work. Treat your workforce as the channel through which change actually moves, to which transformation actually moves. And developing the talent, it has to become a core mechanism of strategy itself. It can't be an HR nicety thing. It can't be. It is the core mechanism of rather the world that we are entering today of too much uncertainty and the reason why we started Darpan again because we are entering into an uncertain world. The only carrier of the people in the uncertain world are CEOs behaving like talent heads, people and culture heads. That's the only way. So, talent, third principle, talent is not a cost center, it is a medium through which transformation travels. Talent is not the cost center, it, it is the medium through which transformation travels. Okay, so whatever I spoke today, they are not slogans, they're design requirements. Now, next week, I will turn each of these into something that you can build, sequence, and even measure in dashboards. These three big principles are workable, creatable frameworks. So we will see a buildable architecture next week. Four drivers and four-part flywheel we'll see next week. For turning philosophy that we discussed today into practice. How these four drivers work with each other. What is the four-part flywheel I'm speaking about? What are four practices that keep the momentum from fading after launch? And many such things. We'll have to sequence it, metrics should have to be there. What are diagnostic questions that you should ask yourself? We'll discuss all that. So philosophy, as I've been saying all the time, without architecture is just a sentiment. And today I spoke about the sentiment because sentiment without any architecture, without sentiment, is just a machine with no spirit, no soul, will not work also. So how does an organization actually make development the engine of the transformation, the growth engine of the transformation, which is built from grounds up by the leader. We'll discuss all these things in the next architectural thing, but just remember the important part of today's conversation, which started with a very simple thing that major transformations, whether it is process shift or it's a system shift, it's an acquisition that you're doing an IPO, etc., etc. They are won or lost within people long before it loses its race on strategy. Live it with an ignited soul inside you, and then come again next week. I will tell you the framework behind it that will help you convert this philosophy into a workable framework, a workable practice. All right. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can ask me now. Yes, Alva.
Yes, sir. Thank you. As far as Saturday, we are waiting for the wonderful session always. In Darpan COVID time, it helped us. Like that, now we are reshaping ourselves. Thank you for this wonderful session, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Giri.
One thing is, it's not today, it's not about today session. You know, the Tamil Nadu politics,
Yeah.
now the CM Vijay has come directly as CM. It's not any other position in political. And today, Annamalai has also announced he'll be also going to start the party. How
Mhm.
far this politics, now that transformation I am seeing, what is your observation, sir? Just, we don't know how to, because the Dravidian parties almost 50 years we followed.
Mhm.
Now the entire scenario has changed because Tamil Nadu is the one state always unique from other states.
Mhm. Mhm.
So what is your observation as a mentor? I am asking
I
you.
I don't know about that. Actually, I refrain from speaking on politics anywhere, even if I have an opinion, because it is people have opinions about it, and I don't want to contradict anybody's belief system. I'll prefer to remain focused on business. I do have an opinion about this, but let's not speak on the public forum about this.
Then what about this energy policies, sir? Actually, water and energy. I always spoke about the third world or maybe water and energy. Now the energy war has come, and
Yeah, that's
now
so the biggest transformation that the world is going to be seeing today is
yes,
not on energy also, it's on water.
yes,
And anybody that, I don't know, we are on a cusp of a big shift, maybe a big transformation where the cleanup, a detox of the world will happen. I don't know how many years from now, but detox is just on the corner in my view. And that can happen only when all of us from within start either aligning to the nature's laws, or we will be in a zone of almost wiping out. So we are not in a good scenario. If we are aligned on the wrong side, we are in a fantastic scenario if you're aligned on the right side. It may seem things going wrong for you, but in long run it will not be going wrong for you. So I would just stay put, follow the fundamental principles, stay focused on pure dharmic principles of love, serve, and give, and nothing will go wrong. And don't try to control the world outside. Control only your actions, and that's where the only swadharma that belongs to you. So just do that. That's it. Nothing else.
yeah. That's why that now that we all know that the El Nino is a
Yeah,
very great threat for us.
correct. That's true.
So the
That's
so
true.
we talk about the sustainable development goals for this company, the 17 SDG goals.
Hmm.
So the before that, sustainable development homes has to be created. So that
Correct.
is my challenge, and I am communicating to the people. First, the thing is water.
Mm.
Whatever in the surface water, we have to protect our water bodies, and then recharging of every household with water, rainwater. And waterborne diseases can be controlled. As per WHO norms, every 5 in 1 person dying through waterborne diseases. This is
That's
for first thing. And second, we are taking care of each and every elements. That's the support we are giving, sir.
yeah.
Sometimes when I am attending, I am getting so many insights from this session. I'm very grateful for this community and especially to you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. I guess there are not many questions. I will be sharing the YouTube link fast for all of you to have a look at it. Please spread it out so that others take advantage of these sessions, and invite all your fellow entrepreneurs and fellow family members to be part of this series. Available free of cost to the world, the community, for the betterment of the future and betterment of their own lives. Thank you very much, and let's conclude today's session.